in the request. Next up is B. What's up, B? How you doing? How old are you?
Hey, I'm good, bro. I'm 24. How about you? I'm vibing.
I'm 39. It's good to have you up here. So, do you think we can prove that Jesus existed?
Yeah, well, I can't prove anything. I don't believe you can't really prove much in life. The most you can do is give as much evidence as you can, and whether you believe it or not, that's up to you. I do believe it because besides the apostles, we do have the letters. We don't know exactly how old they are, all this stuff, so we don't know if they're fact.
Which letters?
The letters that the apostles wrote, everything they wrote, everything, including the New Testament.
What letters of the apostles? Are you talking about the epistles, like Paul's epistles?
I don't remember the exact name, but I do know there are letters from. Let me see if I can Google.
Okay, yeah. Just a reminder: if once you go away from the TikTok page, I can't hear you. But you're probably talking about Paul's epistles.
Okay, probably those. But I say those are just as good as anything because why not?
I'll give you a little bit and say that those would be good if they at all mentioned a historical Jesus.
I mean, a lot of those things did mention Jesus rising from the dead.
Okay, well, I mean that's that's a magical event, and so like any historian would definitely sniff that out and be like, yeah, that probably didn't happen.
I mean, how do you know George Washington existed?
We're not going to talk about George Washington, but also we have direct correspondence, from George Washington. We have other people that talk about George Washington. So I mean, like, this is just not going to end well for you if you want to go.
We have the same thing for Jesus.
No, we don't.
Besides the archaeologic things we found.
What?
So supposedly, I went to what's this? Let me see. I don't know how well history.com is with their stuff. I don't know if they're.
The history channel, history.com are the ones with ancient aliens.
Oh, that's crazy. But besides that, every time, even atheists, I feel like you're one of the few people that I've spoken to that don't believe in Jesus existing even as a historical person. There's just
we have whole conferences over that shit.
You can have all the conferences you want, but most people, even atheists, believe Jesus did exist, even if he was not God.
So what you're using right now is called an ad populum argument, and that's just not convincing. Ad populum arguments aren't going to be convincing. Like what's going to convince me is evidence. Right now, we don't have the earliest reference we have is Paul, who was writing right around the 50s or so. Paul never makes a mention of an actual historical figure. Now, there are certain verses that you could bring up in Paul if you wanted to, but I also have ways of explaining how that doesn't necessarily prove that Jesus existed historically.
I mean, it sounds like you don't want it to be Jesus. You just want it to be something else. You don't want Jesus to exist.
I don't. No, this is not about me wanting one thing or another. Like, I want evidence. Like, it's not that I want Jesus not to be real. I mean, my life would definitely be easier if there was a solid piece of evidence that proved that Jesus existed. Then, I can move on from this and talk about how God doesn't exist.
Bro, I don't know what to tell you, man. The same exact evidence you will ever get for Jesus, you would have to have the same exact evidence for every other historical figure from that timeline. It's the same exact thing.
I totally agree. We should equally apply the historical method to Jesus as well as other historical figures. Yep.
Okay. Did Julius Caesar exist?
Yes.
He has the same amount of evidence that he existed as Jesus Christ.
Oh, fuck no, he doesn't.
He definitely does, if not less.
No, he doesn't. Because we don't have any direct correspondence like from Jesus. We also don't have any real historical events that could have only happened because Jesus existed. And
we found the area where the Bible supposedly where Jesus was crucified. So
I mean, there's a place that's called Golgotha, but there's nothing that actually connects Jesus to being crucified there.
All right, man. I don't know what to tell you. This is
right. If you don't have evidence, then you're not going to know what to tell me.
See, that's a good reason why you're also supposed to have faith as well. You just can't. It's just things like that you can't have over.
Sorry to interrupt, but are you going to tell me that I just need to have like faith that Julius Caesar existed?
I believe that you need to have a good amount of evidence over everything else. If you can find something else that has more evidence than Jesus Christ, you follow that.
Alexander the Great.
Well, he didn't ask to be anything. I'm not talking about like regular ass people. I'm like,
I mean, there are like special magical tales of Alexander the Great. There's also special magical tales of like Romulus. There's special magical tales of Julius Caesar. Like all of these things are like special
fan-made things, man. I've never heard of any. I've never heard of those type of things, but like.
So because you've never heard of it, it doesn't exist?
But because if more people heard of it, it probably exists. Something as big as a creator existing and him having a human like version of himself, that's pretty big, dude. If Caesar or Arthur the Great or any of these people were even close to as popular as that, believable, we would follow them.
I feel like this is sort of a poor man's version of Pascal's wager.
I'm a poor man, so possibly.
What if Muhammad was correct? You know, you could be going to hell and be the play toy for the Islamic Satan.
Well, we could, and possibly. But I believe that the Christian version is correct because Muhammad says Jesus is not God, and that's the only reason I don't believe in him.
What is the differentiating factor between your belief in your deity and a Muslim's belief in that?
What's his name? Muhammad doesn't believe that Jesus is God.
That's just how the religions differ. You're not telling me how like one is representative of reality and the other one is not.
Because I don't know 100%. There's no such thing as proof. Nothing is ever 100% set in stone.
No, I mean, I feel like if you have enough evidence, you can have it be more likely than not correct. So what makes your religion more likely not correct over Islam?
Just that one factor.
So your subjective preference for Jesus being God.
Not preference. It's what I've read in the Bible versus what I've read in the Quran. I can't cite exactly what I've read. I don't have the best memory, I promise you. I'm stupid as hell.
Okay, however, so Muhammad was a prophet, just like Jesus was a prophet. So, I mean, shouldn't you take Muhammad's statements as seriously as you take Jesus's?
No, because Jesus is God. Muhammad is just the prophet.
Okay, so Jesus is God. Does that mean that, God, that Jesus would be responsible for like all of the mass muck-ducking that happened in the Old Testament?
The what? I'm sorry, I don't know if it cut you up.
No, sorry, I'm using an office term. There's the show. Have you ever seen the show The Office?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's this one point where like they're talking about Schmurder and and Dwight's like, that's why they call it that, but not Muckduck. And so I was
what you're saying. No, I don't believe he's responsible for all that.
How not? God in the Old Testament directly commands the Israelites to commit mass murder on people. Mass muck-duck. He committed mass muck-duck and then took sexual slaves as little girls. This whole TikTok thing is ridiculous.
Where was this? I'm confused as to where you read that.
Numbers 31.
Okay, can I have like a minute to check that real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, what's up? What'd you find out?
Okay, okay, I remember that shit. No, I mean, from my human perspective, I don't. It's pretty bad, actually. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. But I think it's justified in a sense.
It's justified?
Yeah.
So the mass muck-ducking of an entire group of people and then the forcible taking of small prepubescent girls as sexual slaves is reasonable?
Well, when I looked that part up, I did not find anywhere conclusive to say that was actually being done. All I was
17 to 18. They took the young girls as spoils and then they forced them into sexual slavery by forced marriage.
Forced marriage is very different than
forced marriage. You can look at the scholarship on this. There's scholarship, detailing like in the Roman Empire at this time, forcing anybody into a sexual relationship as like a marriage is definitely considered sexual slavery.
I mean, in our modern society, I hope so it is, but in those times, definitely not.
Is
It's
God
not.
constrained by time?
Definitely.
God's not all powerful.
Excuse me? No, what was the question?
I said, is God constrained by time?
Oh, no. But he's also not constrained by morality.
Oh, okay. He's not so God's not the moral lawgiver.
He's the moral lawgiver, but
Okay, so
he's allowed to do whatever.
he's
You know that,
special.
let's say, what's it called?
So he's special.
I'm trying to think, because I'm not going to sit here and lie. God does some pretty messed up stuff.
Yeah.
He drowns, he burns, he murders, he does all this stuff.
Mucknucks. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. I apologize. He's done all these things. However, he's not constrained. It's bad to our understanding, but he's not constrained to that. He doesn't have to follow these things.
Right. So God is special.
He is, yes.
Which is special pleading, which is a fallacy.
Which is what?
A fallacy.
What do you mean?
It's fallacious reasoning. It's not logically sound.
I mean, it doesn't have to be logical.
It does. What do you mean it doesn't have to be logical? It definitely has to be logical.
Our existence is not logical.
Our existence isn't logical?
No, it's not. What are the chances of us existing, dude? Like, God or not?
How does that matter? I mean, you really have to dive into more set theory as far as like how likely it is for humans to exist, because no matter what number you come up with, the likelihood that humans will exist is 100%.
And who made that up? A human.
Statistics.
We're
like,
statistics created by humans. We are so flawed. We think everything has to be our way. These statistics are going to be this way because there is nothing but our existence. We don't know any other way but our existence. So obviously we're going to throw everything on our favor.
Does that mean that our existence is the only way existence can happen?
Oh no, the only way our existence can happen is most likely of God.
Okay. Thank you for coming up. I enjoyed the conversation. I do have a couple other people to get to. So
yeah, no problem, man. I get it. It was fun either way. You have a good night, man.
Yeah, you too. And I hope that you'll come up again in a future live because I did enjoy this conversation.
I'm definitely going to read into it more so I can remember more things. But yeah, I probably will. You have a good one, man.
Good. And I know that Lexi in the chat suggested Deuteronomy 21, 10 to 14 for you to read too. So
I'll check that out.
Yep, definitely do that. All right, thank you.
Yeah, you too. I don't know how to leave. I don't know.
I'll get you.
Thank you.
Yep.